Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Voice Essentials live Q&A. And today, Easter has just finished. And so we're going to actually take a look backwards so that we can go forwards with our singing goals. I thought now that Easter has come and gone and we are well and truly into the new year, I thought it would be a great opportunity for all of us to sit down and just reassess and realign the goals that we made in the new year. So we're going to do that. But of course, the lion's share of activity that we really get into when we're live here for a Q&A is your questions. I want to answer your questions. We've got the next 30 minutes, 40 minutes or so to do that. And I can see that Rebecca is already here. Who is in Hawaii at the current moment. That's very cool. Rebecca is actually from Australia, but must be holidaying in Hawaii at the moment. And Jean-Pierre Salom, who is a dramatic tenor, has just joined us, so that's great. We are going to get into it today. I love doing these live sessions with you all. I love sort of making contact and saying good day. So let's, without further ado, let me just get us all ready here and let's get straight into today's Q&A.
Sound check. Check 1, check 2.
So as I said, Easter's come and gone, hasn't it? And we are well and truly into the year. And here in Australia, let me give you a look at what the weather is like outside. So there is a beautiful shot of what is an absolutely gorgeous autumn day here in Brisbane, Australia. It's around about 10 to 9 on a Tuesday morning. So for many of you in the Northern Hemisphere, you are still seeing out the Easter Monday holiday, and I hope wherever you are, you're doing really well. And make sure that you let us know where you're from, what time is it in your part of the world, what's the weather like, and most of all, make sure you leave your questions. Now, for those of you who watched last week's show, we did our very best to start using the hashtag Voice Essentials in Twitter so that I can show Twitter conversation as a part of the show. And so what I want you to do, I have actually tested this morning. It works. Well, at least it did prior to the show starting. I'm hoping it continues to work, and I can, in fact, let me just jump up here and see if we've got. So in fact, when I go to, I'll show you something here. Oh, I keep clicking on the wrong thing. So this is what it should look like. Oh, That's what it should look like. So that's the test that I did. I came up with, did the going live on YouTube at 9 a.m. Hashtag Voice Essentials is what my program searches for. So if you've got a question, and what I want to do today, because I really want to make sure this Twitter thing works, I'm going to prioritize those questions that have the hashtag Voice Essentials that are shared via Twitter. So make sure you use that. I'm not doing it to sort of get us more active on Twitter. I'm doing it so that I can actually bring your question up onto the screen in the manner that I've just shown you. And look, I'm hoping that works. And we'll see how we go. But at least now I know that it's all working and what have you. So that's a good thing. Let me just get rid of that. And we'll go back over to here. So yeah, add hashtag Voice Essentials to your Twitter question, and my program should be able to find it. So today I want to talk about, before we do get into looking at your questions, and before we do, let's actually just go across to, I just want to get rid of that. Let's go across here and say hello to everyone. So we've got Sarah G is here. You caught it again, Sarah, you did. Paper Gamer. Oh, you'll have to come back, Paper Gamer. I'm sorry to hear that you've got classes, but it's nice to hear that you've been able to see us. You're probably on a mobile phone or something, I'd say. Beautiful and sunny in Hawaii from Rebecca. Paul's in South Florida. G'day, Paul. And 7 Cute Dreamers already starting to ask questions. Now, the Voice Essentials tag, I'm almost certain, 7 Cute, that you will have to actually make that a capital V and a capital E. So capital V for voice, capital E for essentials to get that question up and running. And it'll have to be shared onto Twitter. So it won't pick it up just here on the YouTube YouTube status. So just be mindful of that. So let's talk about, at the beginning of the year, and I'll just show us something here. At the beginning of the year, I actually just realized you couldn't hear me because I haven't actually put my audio onto that. So what we had was I shared that video around about November, and it wasn't my most widely watched video, and in some respects I didn't expect it to be, but I really did think it was an important thing for us to discuss as a community, and because here's the thing, I am not a believer in New Year's resolutions. You know, I find that most New Year's resolutions don't find their way past the end of January. And that's, you know, that's being really hopeful. I find that it often doesn't make their way past the 2nd or 3rd of January. New Year's resolutions are often made in the heightened space of emotional, hey, it's New Year's, we've just had Christmas, it's a wonderful time of year. And so we make these emotionally generated, you know, goals and aspirations that tend to not get very far. I am more keen, certainly in my life and in the lives of my family, and we don't set New Year's resolutions, we set goals. And we really work to, we try to build our goals to the SMART rule. Now, for some of you who have watched the video, this will be a little bit of revision. And I've put a link in the description section below so you can go and have a watch of the video, because I think there's value in it even at this time of the year, because the great thing about setting good goals is you don't have to wait until the 31st of December to set them. Good goals can be set at any moment. And so a good goal is what is referred to as a SMART goal. And a SMART goal stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time. So let's just quickly unpack each of those. And like I said, I'm not really wanting to get into what SMART goals are specifically today, because you can go and watch the video. Today we're going to talk about realigning and reassessing those SMART goals. But specific, it means that you really do have to, you know, don't sort of make a highfalutin, you know, I want to sing better. That kind of equates to world peace. You know, it's completely unattainable. A specific goal needs to be something, okay, so you want to sing better. So what is it about singing better that you want to really work on? So it could be developing your pitch. And so you get really specific about, okay, I want to sing better pitch. Well, what is it about your pitch? Oh, okay, I feel like I sing flat all the time. Okay, now we're really starting to get specific. Can you get more specific than that? Yeah, sure, you can. You can go, I tend to sing flat when I go into my upper register. Now we're getting somewhere. Very specific goals. Measurable. Well, the great thing about pitch is you can measure it. Yeah, so you are able to really ascertain when have you achieved your goal? Well, obviously, when you're no longer singing flat in your upper register would be, obviously the thing to think about there. Is it attainable? Well, for most of us, yeah, singing in tune in your upper register is attainable. There's some steps that you need to take towards attaining that end, and so you can go about learning how to do that. And for those of you who are interested, Dr. Dan's Voice Essentials is a great exercise CD to be able to use to attain that. Is it realistic? Yes, it is. And as you know, here at Voice Essentials, I am constantly saying, singing is not about talent. It's not about, natural gifting. It's about hard work. It's about, developing and stepping it out. Everyone can learn to sing. This is not a game for the singers and the non-singers. This is something that every human being can learn to do. Now, what your potential is may very well be different to what the potential of Jeff Buckley or Michael Jackson or, Rihanna is. That's actually quite irrelevant in the equation. It's a matter of is it realistic that you can learn to sing in tune and be, more accurate in your notes? Yes, you can. And then you've got to think about the time. How long is that going to take? And for some of you, it's a matter of adjusting your expectations around your time. How long is this going to take? Unfortunately, some of the younger generations do fall into the trap of believing everything should happen yesterday. And if it didn't happen yesterday, then the journey's not worth the effort. No, sometimes learning to sing in certain areas and certain aspects will take you years, not weeks, not months, but years. And, learning to sing in tune, developing better management of your tension and breath, it can take quite a bit of time. So there you go. That's what setting a SMART goal is: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time are the things that you want to look at. As I said, that's not really going to be the focus of what we're talking about today. I want to very briefly talk about, okay, so here we are, where it's the 18th, well, here in Australia, it's the 18th of April, and if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, more than likely it's the 17th, so you're still in Monday. But we are well and truly into the year, aren't we? And so what we get to this point is that, wow, the year, the pressure of the year, the stamina required for the year is starting to really set in. And for some of you, you're in the rhythm of that, and you're really getting into the flow of it. And for others of you, you may feel like you've been just overwhelmed by, what the year has required of you. And you may even reflect back on some of those goals that you set back before we hit the new year. And I would like to think that a few of you did set some goals in November about what you wanted to achieve with your voice in 2017. But for some of you, those goals have just been completely, wiped out or have been really challenged by what the year has unfolded to be. That's the one thing about setting goals is that none of us can tell the future. None of us have a crystal ball into what the year is going to hold for us. And whether it be sickness or new jobs, or there's such a whole range of different things that can be happening for us as the new year unfolds that were completely unexpected when we set out those goals, in this case, for our singing. And here's the challenge: good goals always, and I think it's safe to say, good goals always need to be reassessed and realigned. And they need to be renegotiated against what are the new factors that you have to take into account for when you are working through the current goals. So, for example, we may well know that we don't sing, our pitch struggles in our upper register, and because we're quite often flat. We've also identified that's going to take some time to develop. We know it's attainable, but time is the key factor. We need time to practice. We need time to be disciplined in our activity. But as you get into it, you realize that time is the very factor that you're struggling with. And so it's at this time of the year that you want to reassess that goal. And not reassess it as in shelve it, hopefully, but reassess it in the sense of, okay, I need to recognize that my year has filled up with other responsibilities. One of the challenges for many of us here at Voice Essentials is we are adults and we have a whole range of responsibilities. Being an adult learner is very different to being a childhood learner. And for example, my son learning piano, and we are able to apply a certain level, he's 12, we're able to apply a certain level of extrinsic governance over his learning. Jaden, go to the piano, sit down and learn, your piece. And he will then, by virtue of the extrinsic motivator, his parents, he'll go off and do that. When we become adult learners, there is no extrinsic motivator to do that, is there? There's no opportunity for us to have that extrinsic person saying, go and do that. Often the extrinsic challenges are actually pulling us away from the very things that we want to be going and doing, whether it be work, family responsibilities, if you've got children, dependents. These are all things that will want to crowd in on your goals. And so it's at this time of the year that I'm often saying to students, okay, let's reassess. What were our goals originally when we started the new year? And do those goals still sit, and are they able to be realigned? As we reassess them, can we renegotiate what those goals are and how they fit in to your current life? And so I would really encourage you, firstly, go and have a watch of the video that I've linked in the description section below about setting good goals, SMART goals, and then have a look at, what are your attainable goals? And we're only talking about, in regards to singing, setting 3, 4, 5 max. Don't overwhelm yourself with too many things to achieve. Remember, we want it to be attainable, and if you over goal set, then you won't achieve anything. You'll sort of just be floundering in the pressure of it all. Just be really defined and make sure it's attainable and realistic, and then reassess what are the time factors around that. Look, I seriously hope that's been helpful this morning. And as I was thinking about what we're going to talk about as a small theme of today's Q&A, that's where I landed. I think I also had thought we could talk about twang. If you like the idea of talking about twang, hit the thumbs up button here on YouTube and let me know in the comments section below, because we can talk a little bit more about that maybe in the coming weeks. But we can talk about twang, next time. I wanted to talk about SMART goals today, so hopefully that's helpful. Now, I'm just checking. Ooh, here we go. This is exciting. Look at what we have. It works! Woohoo! Kim loves WJW. Does Kim love WJW? That's great. Has written, hi, I deal with vocal hoarseness when singing and speaking at times. How do I get rid of that? And that is a great question. Vocal hoarseness can be, different people can find vocal hoarseness and describe it differently. If you're talking about like a raspiness or a heaviness of voice, the question I would want to ask is Kim loves WJW, is that hoarseness and that tiredness coming about after extended periods of use? And after that extended periods of use, does it then repair after 1 or 2 days and the voice is clean again? Or is it a perpetual thing? Is it something that you are constantly working with? You've said here at times, so I'm thinking it's more of an intermittent thing. It would suggest to me that your voice is under high load and you're experiencing possibly too much air pressure. The larynx is having to hold back that sense of what's called subglottal pressure, the sense of air pushing up underneath the vocal folds, and the vocal folds having to bear down and hold that air pressure back while they oscillate to create sound. And so learning to alleviate that, and almost certainly with that would come far too much tension and stress on the whole system. So the musculature is all, the extrinsic musculature is gripping against that. And the whole thing is just labor intensive and can leave you feeling really hoarse, without being able to hear you per se. I'm not able to give you anything more than that. Kim loves WJW, but I certainly hope that's helpful. And thank you very much for being, Kim, you are the first person that has ever used the Twitter hashtag other than myself. We got it right. Thank you for proving that it does work. Yay for us. Okay. And hey, just on that little comment that I just made just before, and that is, I get a lot of people here on YouTube asking me to review their audio and their videos and everything. And just to let everyone know, I do not review videos on a per case basis. I often in the comments section. Let me just explain why. It purely comes down to time. We're climbing towards 15,000 subscribers here on YouTube. That's a lot of people, and I'm responding to comments all the time. I love responding to everyone's comments, but I just purely don't have more than the 24 hours in the day that the rest of us have, and I've got to sleep and eat in amongst there, and so please understand that I can't review your audio. I do offer, and this is noted in the description section below, I do offer for those who feel prepared enough to do, here on this very channel and in these Q&As, I do live song reviews for those of us who want to, hey, record a tune and put it out there for everyone. I will do a live a live review for you here on this live YouTube space, but outside of that, I don't review audio. So I just thought I'd throw in a little bit of an explanation there. I wonder if we've got any more Q&A voice essentials. No, we don't. So let's jump over to here. We've got a few more people. Again, don't forget to let us know where you're from. Oh, and it's turned a little bit overcast outside here in Brisbane this morning, which is unusual for those of you who were here earlier in the show. Yeah, it was looking a little bit more picturesque than that, but I don't think we're expecting rain. So again, let us know where you're at in your part of the world, and let us know what the weather's like. But most importantly, now that we've reached this part of the show, please write your questions down here in the Q&A section. So Liano Fernando, -1 minute to the 18th. Well, I would think that's probably, you're probably in the 18th by now, Liano. 7 cute dreamers. I get hoarseness too in only a portion of my voice when singing and speaking. It is so annoying. So I think, Raureen, I think for you, as I've just pointed out, I think if that's the case, if it's only happening in certain portions, then your voice is under too much load. And because remembering that when the voice is under too much load, as I keep suggesting, that that can cause the vocal folds themselves to actually swell. What they do is they start to retain fluid, and the fatter they become, and in that sense the softer, because there's more fluid, so they become thicker. They become less responsive, and so the voice is not able to give you a clean, clear tonality. So hopefully that's helpful. So what have we got else here? Bradley Munro, how can we sing like I portray something that's within a song? So Bradley, I'm going to interpret your question as, how can you really communicate the narrative of a tune? And I do have a video that you can go looking for that talks about a whole range of, it talks about how to communicate the narrative a lot better, and hopefully that you can go looking for that on my channel. And for those of you who don't forget, if you don't normally visit here, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell icon, because you'll get access to not only being notified when we go live and do these live sessions, which happen generally at the beginning of the week, like we are today, generally Monday, Tuesday, but they happen throughout the day when I have a spare session. So I don't currently have a student today at 9 o'clock. I do have a student at 10. And so I have to put them, I can't allocate a specific time for these sessions. So to make sure you get notified about them, hit the bell icon so that YouTube will let you know when I go live. But I also do pre-recorded, far more in-depth researched videos that go live every Thursday at 5 a.m. This week we're looking at asthma. For those of you who suffer or know singers who suffer from asthma, this is a must not miss video for you. And of course for the rest of you, I think it's just good education for you to sort of understand a little bit more the challenges that face those who sing with asthma. So hopefully you will enjoy that this Thursday. So as I said, jump onto the channel, go searching through the videos for those that talk about the narrative, how to communicate the narrative. So when we are talking about the communication of narrative, well, we use a whole range of tools to do that, don't we? We use tone. So if we're wanting to express excitement and energy, we would typically that might require brightness of tone, a more pingy, twangy tone. It could include more volume, dynamic. Whereas if we're wanting to look at intimacy, then often we're going to want to reduce volume. We're going to want to create that sense of warmth, so rounder, longer vocal tract that has more width and breadth, so that we're getting a little bit more Barry White with it. Of course, we then use texture, things like we can actually use breathiness and raspiness, some vocal fry throughout to colour. Remembering that when we're communicating narrative, we are artists. We are painting a picture for our audience. And that's what I'm keen to see us learn to do with things. When I think about a fine artist, I always think brush stroke. The way the brush hits the canvas and comes off the canvas is what we as singers might refer to as onsets and offsets. So the way you onset, if I have that sort of that's sort of a vocal fry, a glottal stroke onto it. It has a bit of a dirty edge, and that's going to communicate intensity and tension, as opposed to a simultaneous onset that is going to, it's just far more middle of the road, isn't it? And we can have breathy offsets, so and it's sort of far more gentle in the way the brush stroke finishes the phrase. And so we use all of these things to create effect, to communicate. And in many respects, it's not for me to tell you how or what you should do. You're the artist. You're the person painting the effect. You're the person painting and communicating the message that you want to. But here in lessons, we often talk about these things and talk about what is the better choice to make to communicate the message of the piece that we're wanting to. And so certainly you can be guided in that. And again, some of the videos that we've got there will be helpful with that. So for those of you who have recently just joined us, can I bring your attention to the fact that I'm wanting to actually use Twitter today to bring up your question onto the bottom of the stream here, and all you've got to do is add hashtag Voice Essentials, that's capital V, capital E, to your Twitter account. So write your question into Twitter with the hashtag hashtag Voice Essentials, and hopefully we'll be able to find your question and bring it up live. I'm wanting to prioritize those questions today because we are ensuring that it's worked. We've already had one who's our very first, and we'll go to some more in a moment. But for the moment, let's just quickly go back over here, and we've got a whole heap of more people joining us. Linda's one of our regulars from Tasmania. I bet it is lovely in Tasmania today. Autumn would just be the most... I reckon autumn would have to be probably the best time of year in Tasmania. I love Tasmania. My falsetto tends to be limited due to congestion. Could posture be the culprit? That is a good question, Roger. Look, posture, and I must admit, and you might think this is semantics, posture is not typically the language I use. I typically use the term body alignment. I'll show you why, and you'll all get to see me wearing three-quarter pants today. Posture, whenever I think posture, I always think sort of that sort of sense of, toy soldier, shoulders back, chest out, locked knees. Whereas when I'm thinking body alignment, I'm really wanting to think of that sense of buoyancy. And if you've been around Voice Essentials for any length of time, you know that we're looking for that sense of buoyant state. We don't want to have the opportunity to grip down and become laryngeally focused. We want to distribute our sense of muscular action and activity throughout the entire instrument so that we are nice and buoyant. So back to let's see, who's Roger's question is, could that lead to congestion? It's amazing. The human body is an amazing thing, and sometimes we can be surprised at what different aspects of our body is doing and how that then influences other aspects of... It would be unlikely that your posture would be forming congestion. It's more likely that you've got other challenges. Typically when we feel congested and we feel gluggy and what have you, it's either because we're dehydrated, so our body is not able to keep the mucosal layer nice and we all hate this word, moist. It's not able to keep it really well hydrated, and it can become like claggy glue. So that's the first thing that I'd want to attend to. Reflux, and there is a recent video here on the channel about reflux. That can be a significant developer of a sense of too much phlegm and clag. And then the other one is obviously allergies, and it can be a deviated septum and those sorts of things that cause increased postnasal drip, and that can make you all claggy. And for those interested, there is another video on the channel. We've got over 200 videos now on the channel about how to clear away phlegm. And so, Roger, you may find that there are some other videos that you might want to have a look at there. Now I'm just going to turn my aircon on because it's getting really warm in here. Okay, so Roger, I hope that is helpful. Have we got any more? I'm just having a look to see if we've got any more. No Twitter questions. Come on, everyone. Twitter, we've got to get into Twitter. Use Twitter as our go-to space. Okay, so Kev Tran, you made it. Well done. Namimba. Liano, now you said where you were from earlier, didn't you? I'm just going back. No, you didn't. Whereabouts, Mr. Fernando, or I should say, I don't know whether you are a Mr. or Mrs. You can highlight that for us, and let us know whereabouts is Liana. Is I can't even say. Is it Nambia? I don't know. Hey, Kathy, nice to see you. Well, like Tasmania, Kathy, Toowoomba. I've always said Toowoomba is sort of Launceston in Queensland. Has a very similar sort of weather to it. Toowoomba, for those of you who don't know, Toowoomba is about an hour and a half west of where I am, which is Brisbane, which is the eastern seaboard of Australia, and it's where I grew up. I spent a number of years growing up in Toowoomba. So hello to Kathy, nice to hear from you. So many people from all over the world, it's so exciting. Now Matt here is saying there is a certain song that has an extremely long ending note, and my mum had the idea of ending the note where it's comfortable for me and let the accompaniment carry the rest of the song to the end. Matt, I think your mum is a very smart woman. And I think it's better for you to finish the note and finish it cleanly in the manner that you stylistically want to, than to feel like you are collapsing over the finish line and dying. Much better stylistically for you to have that wonderful clean finish, again, offsetting the note, whether it be a breathy offset, a clean simultaneous offset, or a glottal stop, stopping the note in the manner that you want to. And if that's, a beat and a half, 2 beats earlier than may be written on some person's interpretation of some transcript, that's completely fine. Go with your mum. Isn't it? It's often the case, isn't it? Mums know, don't they? Mums know. Matt, all that being said, in your practice, I would be working on developing the skill towards being able to manage the note for the length that you feel that it probably should go for. But that comes down to your preparation of air and not squeezing the note out, but being able to, manage your air in such a way that you're able to sing straight through the note. And for those of you who are interested, there is exercises on the YouTube channel for that. If you go looking at any of the breath series, and there is some breath activities in the 7 Days to a Better Voice program, my free 7-day vocal detox that I think technically that many of you have already participated in, and if you're interested, you will get something out of that as well. Coming down here, you're welcome, Roger. I'm glad that that response to you was helpful. Not going to miss the asthma video, Kev Tran. Well, it would suggest to me that you suffer from asthma, perhaps. How can you sing a Bruce Springsteen? Now, this is a good question. How can you sing a Bruce Springsteen song? That is a tongue twister. A Bruce Springsteen song. What did I say? Stong. I think his songs are hard to sing because his notes are too high. Well, 7Cute, do you know what I would do? If you personally find that his repertoire is too high for you, lower the key. Just bring the key of the song down. Generally, if you move a song down a tone and a half, 2 tones, certainly I use a little program here in on my. I'll show you if I open this program here in the studio. I use a little plug-in, and if I'll get rid of that. If I show you that, so see this program just here. This is called Chronotron. And if I want to play a tune, and in fact, I can show you, hopefully this works, everyone. So let's just say, I'll bring up a tune. I'll just bring up one of my exercise CDs, exercises. So let's bring up a developing twang exercise.
Exercise 4 is all about developing twang.
So hopefully you can all hear that.
Twang is a clear, focused resonance.
Now let's get a little bit ahead. So this is one of the tracks. Now if I was to drop that by, let's say, -300, and you can see that it dropped. And so it's a really effective little plug-in. It's a Windows, let me get rid of that now. It's a Windows Media Player plug-in. And yeah, you can just practice. I think it costs a few dollars, but it's a really handy tool, and we use it here in the studio a lot to change the key. I encourage you to not always change keys. And I've got another video on the channel. It's actually one of the older ones refers to this as altitude training, working on songs that do naturally sit too high for you, that you may, in performance, you probably drop it a tone and a half, but it can be handy to practice the song in that higher key, working your voice in such a way as to require it to sit that bit higher, and hopefully that is helpful to you. Okay, now have we got any more? We don't have any more Twitter. Well, I'm not disappointed. It's not that big a deal, but it would be nice to put up another Twitter question. Okay. I have trouble with high notes. Yeah, it really comes down to, look, high notes are a challenge for a lot of singers, and singing up into your upper register, it's learning to manage your air, it's learning to manage your tension, it's learning to manage a whole range of things. I've just seen how long we've been going live today. We're already up to 45 minutes. I am going to do one more question, and then we are going to call it a day, and we'll have to wait until next video, next week, to do another Q&A. So who are we going to give our last question to? Please, Paul's asking, please explain how exactly to ask a question using Twitter. So you've got to go to Twitter, Paul, and you have to put on there hashtag Voice Essentials, capital V, capital E, to your Twitter question, to your Twitter, just to your tweet. Put the hashtag Voice Essentials, and it will, my program here will find it. But we are nearly out of time. So if you are wanting to do that, you need to do it absolutely ASAP, and I will answer your question if it comes up on Twitter. But currently, it hasn't. So I'm still waiting. Okay, one more question. I've been practicing what you advised and singing with our own vocal registers instead of imitating. Excellent, Liana, that is great. It's really important that we establish our own vocal identity and not someone else's. Let's give the last question to our friend in Tasmania, to Linda. And let me get rid of that there. So Linda's got this question right at the bottom there. Maybe not a lot of us go on Twitter, so not fast on the old tweet action. I'm registered there. Oh, that's not a question, Linda. Here I am giving you the last question of the day, and it's not even a question. It's a comment. It's a valuable comment, but it's not a comment. It's not a question. And now I've got to go back. Okay, John, he's all over it. He's got he's put his question in bold. So let's give it to him. Please give an exercise for choking off upper register notes. Yes, John, I'm there. Choking for not choking off upper register notes. Please give an exercise for not. Yeah, so, often when students are developing their offsets, this is going to sound really, well, I just say it and you can interpret it accordingly. I always say to students will say, how do I finish the note? Well, you just stop singing. Just stop. That's how you finish it. You don't have to pinch it off. The moment you stop airflow, the note stops. So if you're singing, yeah, you don't have to squeeze it off. Yeah? If you squeeze it off, you're going to get, yeah. Whereas if you just go, yeah, and stop the air, the vocal folds stop. And so if you're wanting just a really clean offset, then a really glottal stop, just stop singing. Yeah. Whereas if you want to have for example, a breathy offset, you would go, yeah, yeah, and bring in the air. So it all comes down to the ratio of muscle to air. It's often, how often in singing does it all come back to the ratio of muscle to air? And so if you want a glottal stop, then you are bringing the vocal folds and they are coming together and stopping. If you want a breathy offset, you are having the muscles, the air continues, but the muscles stop. And if you're wanting a simultaneous offset, yeah, then they both discontinue their flow and oscillation at the same time. But again, it all comes down to, we were talking about this earlier in today's stream, it all comes down to the stylistic choice. What best works with the activity of what you're doing. And in many respects, you're the best person to make that choice. There are better choices to be made than others, and the guidance of a good singing teacher will help you with that. Just like learning to paint and learning better brush stroke is best guided by a master in the field. So it is with singing, but certainly we always want to orientate it to your choice as the artist. So there you go, everyone. That is a wrap for today. I hope you've enjoyed the Q&A. I think this is the longest one we've ever done. Let me know if you think this is too long. I do like to get to a lot of your questions, and make sure you hit the thumbs up button if you've enjoyed the Q&A, if you're enjoying the Q&A sessions in general. And don't forget, this week we're looking at asthma on Thursday. I'd love for you to all have a watch of that video and share it with your friends. If you are new with us, please subscribe, join our ever-growing community of singers from across the globe, who just like you want to raise their voice in song. We are an encouraging, vibrant community of singers from across the planet, and we'd love for you to join us. And do be sure to hit that bell icon, because it's only as you hit the bell icon that you are going to be notified about these live Q&As. I really hope you've enjoyed today's session. But until I see you in the next Voice Essentials video, I'm Dr. Dan. Sing well.